But look, thank you everyone for once again joining a monthly webinar that we run at ProFundCom. I'm always very grateful for people being generous with their time to attend these webinars and, enjoying strong word, probably the replays. So this month's webinar is, I was kind of thinking about why and what are the reasons why people change CRMs, and relationships with CRMs is generally like a relationship with a lover. It kind of starts with great expectations, and kind of as you kind of go down your journey, within 6 to 7 years, you make a change. And it is quite an interesting from a behavioral science point of view. Between 7 and 11 years is kind of there is a natural repetitive cycle. So if you think of, junior school, senior school, you think of, the point where you change jobs, there is a definite cycle. And it kind of is between 7 and 11 units, 7 days, 7 months, 7 years. And, and the reason there is the 7-year itch, it is that point of, you start with high expectations, you're sold the dream by a CRM company. You invest, and you kind of then stop investing, and then whatever behavioral problems existed, they just all surface again. And and it's quite interesting when people move to another country. It's the same cycle. Is that your problems are still there. The way you see the world and the way you see processes is all the same. And you go to a new environment, and again, it could be a CRM environment, it could be Australia. After about a period of 7 years, you're still the same person. And it's this balance between expectations, reality, and more important, the discipline of change. And this is really, I think, where driving CRM adoption is a discipline, okay? And there's part of the discipline that you're applying to salespeople. And salespeople, by their very psychological nature, and there's been lots of studies on that, they're high in charisma, but low in compliance and low in discipline. So getting a salesperson to find a CRM useful where they put data in, which we all expect, what's the real, ask any salesperson and anybody working in CRM, what's their number one bugbear? It is a salesperson to put data in the system and put correct data in the system. Because the minute you've cleaned your data in the CRM and give it to the salespeople, dirty data. So how do we manage and make sure in 7 years we're not changing CRMs, right? And that whole expense. So the way we kind of we do this, and we've kind of seen how we make salespeople engage with CRMs, is to make sure there's really valuable data in there. And that not just the data like name, address, and stuff like that, but getting the CRM to predictively surface information so that a salesperson can actually go straight into the CRM and know who are the people that they should be calling today. So that's all about, what we're going to talk about on this webinar, and how you do that with marketing automation. A little bit about, ProFundCom. What we're all about is that we're all about helping fund managers, asset managers, fund of funds, and all those kind of types of asset managers raise assets using marketing automation. And, we integrate with, Stuart, Backstop, Dynamos, Salesforce, Foliometric, all those kind of, domain-specific CRMs, other than Salesforce, which is not domain-specific, but you've got to beat it hard to kind of get it into some shape, a bit like my children. Not that I beat my kids, okay? I call it attitude adjustment. And we've got almost, we've got more than 300 users of our product globally. So, and we're very much focused on how we can use marketing automation to raise AUM. And that again, when that's fed back, when the results of marketing automation are fed back into CRM, it really helps salespeople really feel an engagement with that system. And trust me, it's seen to them as a system, and it's seen as them as the evil empire, because it's just not in their nature to do so. It's a bit like asking me to fill out a form. Just by my nature, I won't fill out a form. It's something just deeply wired, but we will try and change that. So what really sits within CRM adoption is, how do you take all the marketing you're doing and building out a go-to-marketing plan, because that feeds the marketing automation that ultimately feeds the CRM. And what go-to-market is all about is, for a marketing team, is for the marketing team to understand is that there are really 5 steps for a go-to-market strategy. And what that strategy is, it's around building your narrative, building your brand, doing demand generation, tracking engagement, and then building out your analytics. And those analytics then feed the marketing automation. And once you've kind of built out this strategic view of your marketing, you then go into the tactical view, which is every day, every week, every month, having the discipline to building out your brand, so creating content, and then measuring it. And you kind of build out this echo chamber. So you can then effectively track what type of content and what kind of narrative is actually engaging with your ideal investor. And from this, you can basically, if you kind of do this on a regular basis, worst case on a quarterly basis, best case on a 6 to 8 week cycle, and there's a science behind that, but I won't go into it right now, is that you actually are building out this, test, build, test, build, test, build, test. And this echo chamber really helps you understand what thematically is working with the investors that you're trying to attract. And it could be investors that you're trying to attract, or existing investors, one of the two, or potentially both. So what then happens is you feed this analytics into the marketing automation part. So a lot of question is, what is marketing automation and where does it sit? Marketing automation is only available if you're generating content, from the previous slide, if you're then analyzing the analytics, which is this slide, and then you kind of feed this into, for want of a better word, a funnel. And depending on how people are engaging with your digital content, whether that's website, there's email, social, investor portal, events, whether they're online or hybrid, all of these bits of information are actually creating a profile for those individuals who are engaging with your brand and feeding into the marketing automation part. So you've got the marketing strategy, which was previous slide. The previous slide to this was the marketing as a tactical, content, creating content, analyze, and this automated part here is the marketing automation. And the marketing automation, what that then allows you to do, it allows you to do more with less. And I'll show you how you do more with less. So the first part of, what we're going to talk about today. So that was just a quick, quick 30,000 foot view of, what is marketing automation, why it's important, and how does it fit within the marketing brief. And a lot of people have actually said to me they've never actually seen their fun marketing laid out in those 4 different steps, which is, narrative, brand awareness, and all the ones that kind of go after that. So that's a really useful slide if you're starting from scratch, or if you just want to do a marketing audit. So that aside, what we're going to cover here now is how do you streamline processes for marketing teams through marketing automation. And again, that thing I said earlier on is, generating more time for a marketing team. What do you do with that spare time? And how can you use that spare time that you claw back to either be more efficient at another task, or actually, work strategically on your marketing going forwards. And so here we go. So streamlining marketing. So when you're building a marketing, automation, it's part of the automated go-to-market strategy, or as I call it, AGTM. Why have a three-letter abbreviation when you can afford? And what this is all about, what this part of the marketing automation is where you're taking inbound contact. So people are downloading for a white paper, downloading for a thought leadership piece. They've registered for an event. And then what you do, you wait a period of time after they've downloaded something and then send them some content. And once they've done that, they become part of a nurture campaign or a drip campaign. And what a nurture campaign or drip campaign does, it constantly, and not irritatingly, constantly, and the time zone, and the time period depends, is a way to keep what your fund is doing, your investment strategy, your attitude to risk, your performance front of mind for people who are at the early stages of your digital funnel. So this is, again, something that you just set off once and it's kind of working in the background. Okay, so this is kind of the first part of the automated go-to-market strategy. And also it means that a marketing team doesn't have to remember every 10 days, I need to send another mailing out to these people that have I've got to send, I've got to do, and by that time it's a mess. So that process just needs to be automated, which is, very doable. Once you've kind of got into that cycle, the other kind of automation you can build out is the ability where if somebody comes in to your automation by downloading something or engaging with you, then you've got the ability to now say, if somebody engages with us and they are new, you can actually send them on a different branch of the automation. And that branch could be the new contact is asked, is called up by a salesperson, or gets the regular content but is invited to an event, or they can also be used to self-certify if they are high net worth and are available to engage with your fund. Now, what's really interesting, and this is something that I'm going to bring up in a webinars in the next few months, is how do you actually track people's data? How do you capture people's data? How do you get when somebody, if someone's downloaded something fantastic, and how do you get people to leave their details behind? Now, there's a process that sits behind this, which is called creating a lead magnet. So it's not good enough for you just to have a web page where they have to leave their data behind. There's actually a proven way that you can actually have a concept, and you can maybe just Google it after this webinar, called creating a lead magnet. And a lead magnet is something where you leave details behind, but as you go through the content, it automatically tracks how engaged you are. So if you've given your information like your name and email address, and you've downloaded something, then tracking how far they got into that document, so that you know how actually valuable that contact is. And then at the end of the lead magnet, the process there is they have a call to action button where they can either arrange a meeting with yourselves, when you can use a product like Calendly to do that, or they arrange to register for a call, basically. So the same thing really, Calendly, or they can just call you immediately. So the lead magnet is a concept that probably has only come to my awareness in the last 6 months. And the more that we use it ourselves and the more we're encouraging clients to use it, it really helps you grade the contacts that are coming in. And again, what that does, it makes the marketing team that more efficient, and it just kind of automates that process of, we've got somebody new, what should we do with them? Automating that, again, just gives you the marketing teams that headspace. So once you've kind of got that, you've got this whole process of new contacts, how they come in. The other automation, which is really useful for marketing teams, is the remail function. And what the remail function is, it's all about sending an email, waiting a period of time, people who have not engaged with those emails send them that email again. Or somebody's not engaged with something you send on LinkedIn, send that information again. So what this does, and the more you do it, bizarrely, the more engagement you get. And again, there is a tipping point where it becomes annoying, but something basic as setting up an automation to send non-engagers the same email you sent before is really, really useful and increases your email engagement significantly. And if those emails are to a white paper, a download, to a thought leadership piece, to an event, online, offline, people, it really is. If you don't do any automation, this is the automation to do. And finally, you've got what we call the split test. Now, the split test automation is really quite useful because what it does, if you're sending out a campaign, it gives you the ability to say, right, only send 10% of my emails, but send them with 2 different subjects and measure which one has performed, which subject has got the most opens. And based on that, send the remaining emails. So this in itself, if you tie this in with the remail, those 2 automations in itself, by a marketing person only doing one action of sending an email out, has a cumulative, and I can't pronounce it, cumulative, exponential, cumulative, has a big, a small action with a bigger outcome by orders of magnitude. And these do go up orders of magnitude the more you connect them together. And maybe not orders of magnitude, but definitely on a upward hockey curve stick, which is not orders of magnitude, potentially exponential. Okay, so those are the automations that are available. The other kind of automations that really help out marketing teams, and again, there's a reason why it's so important to focus on marketing automation at this point, because that feeds into CRMs, is template automation. So this is where you can build out preference centers where investors or people visiting you can select what they're interested in, quickly set them up, set their own preferences up, and then the email templates that you send out, the regular emails, are all automated. And this is kind of template automation, which sits very tightly with marketing automation. So once you've got users telling you exactly what they want, investors telling you, well, this is what we're interested in, don't send me information on this, it almost builds out that, what is the marketing person doing now, right? If they're not bashing out lots of emails, getting lots of people to attend events, and investors are selecting, their own content, well, why on earth should I, even give a marketer a pay rise or hire another marketer? Now, you've got this type of preference center, which is my favorite. You've got preference sentences like this, where I'd rather nail my fingernails to a floor. And the reason for that, again, we spoke about filling out forms. I see this and immediately I'm like, not interested. So there is a balance between how much you ask your investors or people visiting your website to fill in. Okay, so there's a reason why this is important. The reason this is important is because there is a part of when you buy your CRM, and you can put in your CRM, you can connect it to your accounting package, you can build a general ledger out of it, you can connect it to your investor portal, you can do all those things that bring your data in one place. But unless people are going into that place, that investment is just a waste of time, an utter waste of time. The other reason it's an utter waste of time is because most of the people I speak to, I ask them, how will you measure the success of your CRM project? And it starts with, we'll have clean data. It's dirty after literally the first salesperson put in. It means we'll have all our data in one place and a salesperson can see everything about a customer in one place. Well, that's assuming the salesperson is motivated to go in to the CRM, which by their nature, they're not. And the third part is the reason why these CRM projects fail is because they don't do marketing automation. So if you go to any CRM product I mentioned before, whether it's Salesforce, Dynamics, Situate, Dynamo, Backstop, Folio, Edgefolio, PerTrack, ProTrack, all of them, well, that's something nobody ever did. But 20 years ago, I thought that would be a good idea to build out marketing automation. But even marketing automation is an utter waste, right? And I found marketing automation first 15 years, we had 20 users. But then I realized, and this is the most important bit we're coming to, what builds adoption of CRM and marketing automation and all that money you spend on marketing is how does marketing budget add to raising AUM, right? And once you can put that in your CRM, that the marketing activities that would potentially raise AUM or preserve AUM, that is essentially the, what we found, what I found, what, ProFundCon found, what our clients found, and what CRM people found, is that that is kind of the missing link. And the missing link is all about making that marketing data actionable. So you create actionable insights. And you're pulling in data from your website, email, social, investment, all that data. How do you bring it together for a salesperson to say, that's useful? So what we did in our product, we created these actionable insights. And this is all sitting around what we call our lead deck. And what the lead deck allows you to do, allows a salesperson to do, is to basically filter information by fund, by a timeline, but more importantly, categorize data, the marketing data, the data that's come in through the marketing automation in something that they can really understand. So not just who's open stuff, which other CRMs do and is pointless. What they're doing, they're saying, right, who are the people that I need to call today so I can make all my dials? So what we're doing is we're splitting that data out into what we call first column, low-hanging fruit. So who are the people that are engaging with all our funds content, but we haven't picked the phone up to them yet? Okay, really useful to know. So these are people you would never dial anyway, unless by mistake. But what ProFundCon is doing is giving you the ability to say, based on these behaviors, here are the people you need to speak to. So we've also pulling out information like cross-selling reports. So which of your investors are investors in one fund or two funds, but are looking at products you have that they're not invested in currently? So ultimately, the ultimate upsell, right? It's easier to sell to people who have bought your product or bought your fund or bought your investment than to find new people, right? And ultimately, having that information to hand, incredibly useful for a salesperson. The third information we have is mainly for kind of the IR team, which is what we call redemption risk. And redemption risk is basically, here are your investors that are not engaging with you. So they're not downloading fact sheets, they're not accessing NAVs, they are not going to the investor portal, and they're not attending events. So these people, again, information being surfaced, actionable insights, the IR team need to speak to these people. And finally, we've got this concept of marketing alpha. And what marketing alpha is kind of the opposite of low-hanging fruit. So marketing alpha are people who are not engaging with you over the last 6 months, but in the last month have suddenly downloaded a fact sheet, been on the investor portal, have been on a webinar, have been at a physical event, have engaged with you in some way. So these are dormant contacts that are suddenly becoming active. So having this information to hand, so knowing of who the people who are interested, but you're not calling, crossing opportunities, disinterested investors, and having people with new interest, renewed interest in your fund, all in one place, suddenly makes it useful. So all that marketing data makes it useful. So not only, are people asking us for this kind of behavior, there's other behaviors people are interested in. So knowing which of your contacts in your CRM have increased their engagement with you by 50% or decreased their engagement with you by 50%. If you want to know information, and you're going to come up with whichever criteria you want, as crazy as you want it to be, and as convoluted as you want it to be, and what we know you want to be able to do is surface this information to the sales team. Now, where would a salesperson consume this? Well, the good news is they can consume it within whichever CRM you choose to have. So instead of them having to log into another system, they have to log into the CRM to just see this data. And again, what this is doing, it's motivating a salesperson to be in the CRM. So once this data is in the CRM, it absolutely works so well. So you can just drill into data now. You can drill into a contact and see their digital footprint. So in this case, with Yvette, you can see that she's been on the website, she's downloaded a fact sheet, she's been on the investor portal, she's been on the Zoom call. So all this information is suddenly available to hand. Now, why this works in a CRM, because if you didn't have the lead deck, you just go into your CRM, you're going contact by contact by contact, and you're not seeing that 30,000-foot view of all your engagement and then drilling down. And this is, again, where CRMs really miss a trick, because CRMs are just working contact by contact by contact by contact by contact, and there's very little drill down you can do. Now, obviously, you can do drill down by account, and then you just get someone's phone number. So the value of the data in the CRM is actually less than what is actually you've paid for it. But what we're trying to do, we're trying to change that mindset with fund managers who have invested in CRMs and give them the ability to say, right, here is all your data. So let me go to the previous slide. I'm doing Situate I'm doing a good ad campaign for them, but other products are available. In fact, let me not upset everybody. Let me go to see what I got previously. Here we go, Dynamo. So you can be a Dynamo user. You can see a summary of your data. Here are the people you need to be calling. Bang, off you go. Here are people who are actually interested in what you're selling them. And what makes this really useful for fund managers and salespeople within that team is that on days where they've run out of dials to do, the lead deck gives them that ability. So what's next? And what is the next thing you can do to kind of make this even stickier, getting the CRM to really be adopted? What you need to do is be able to say, not only here are the people that are interested based on their digital behavior, but the ability to pull in investor information from other platforms. So you can actually see, well, not only is, Freya interested in our fund, but based on this other data, we know that they're investing in this strategy. So it's, again, building efficiency. So not only with automation, it's a win-win, right? Not only are you building efficiencies in the marketing process, you're actually also building efficiencies in the sales process as well. So normally, so it is a cumulative effect. So you're building all these efficiencies. So hopefully, you are making your sales more efficient. Now, we've spoken to people, and what they've said to us is that the more marketing channels we add, the more inefficient we become. So when somebody says, oh, we need to be an investor portal, oh, we need to be on this, or we need to do the website, all these channels and collecting the data just make people more inefficient, 15 to 20%. So if you've got 5 channels and you're collecting data, you are literally 100% worthless because you cannot do your day job. And then to be asked to produce this kind of information, you just blow a gasket. So what we've, hopefully showing is that with automating that information and pulling it into a single view, you can be as efficient as you want to be. So so that's really how you deliver this information. How do you underpin it with investor data? Now, I know everyone is talking about, chat GPT, AI, machine learning, all that kind of stuff. My background is in AI, and our CTO background is in AI. And there is AI, machine learning, all that kind of stuff sitting behind here. Don't worry about it. Surfacing information and actionable insights is really what people care about. Nobody really cares usually about chat GPT and how it's going to replace everybody's jobs. They used to say that about robots, right? And no, we'll just learn different skills. So that's kind of the marketing data and how you can create actionable insights. And finally, the really good way, and I've seen this, and I've learned this actually from Hayley Keenan at Martin Curry. And this is basically her view of the world. So it was so good, I thought I'll share it with you, is how do you align sales teams? It's like to get adoption in CRM, you basically, as a marketing team and sales team, you've got to align yourselves together and basically, not work in silos. So salespeople come to marketing meetings, so they understand the content that's being driven and feeding into that they understand how the analytics are being driven and kind of feed into that. And in the same way, marketing teams need to be part of the sales process, really understanding, how is AUM growing, how are assets being allocated, how's the fund performing, so they understand the marketing sentiment and how they create content around the sentiment of the audience. And we actually have a service where we actually tell our clients and anyone who's interested, is free service, what the market sentiment is at any point in time. So when they create content, they make sure it matches that sentiment. So aligning and being part of each other's meetings is really, really important. The other thing, is the end game. The end game is ultimately, how can we, as a marketing team, demonstrate the impact that the marketing team is having on raising AUM, and how that feeds into CRM adoption, because it all sits around the marketing automation analytics, and being able to feed how your marketing is performing against inflows is incredibly, incredibly powerful and incredibly compelling if you really want to align sales and marketing together. Because marketing, we all know, is kind of the third poor cousin of the sales team. And the real, one of my goals has always been that marketing is actually seen as an essential, business function in a fund, as opposed to just sending stuff out. So when I started in fund marketing, it was definitely just, here's a bunch of PDFs, send them out. And it was very hard to ask for a pay rise, very hard to ask for budget. But if you've got a dashboard like the one I've shown you here, where inflows are mapped to marketing activity, and you've got marketing attribution, so you can actually see what marketing activities are feeding AUM, then it's very, very, it's a no-brainer for marketing and sales to be considered, almost at par with each other. Now, and the good news is that these are available. So I know it says, please activate a valid license. Trust me, I have bought the license. And what this is allowing you to do is basically in real time, giving you the ability to see what our marketing activity has been and how has that fed into inflows. And, you can build out these kind of reports, to your heart's content. And so this is all kind of running in real time. And again, the reason why this is so important, this whole idea of marketing automation, feeding that into the CRM, because it's actually useful, actionable information. I've got a question come in here. Eduardo, so that is a good question. So this is ProFundCom data, so our data, running within Power BI. Super. So I hope that answered the question. And that's it, guys. So, that is how one looks at adopting, increases CRM adoption through, marketing and automation. So hopefully no one's going to change their CRM in the next 7 years. If you are, it's not the CRM, buddy, it's you, right? And it's how do you go about, making the data more valuable, making the data for the sales teams that much more compelling. And what you can do, and we've seen this done with clients, is they don't even give clients, their salespeople, the option to even go to that lead deck I showed you. They automatically push that information into the daily activities for the salesperson, and they just call these people up. And yeah, so there we go. Oh, my pleasure, Mark. Absolute pleasure. So I'm just waiting for any more questions. That's true, Mark. It's that thing. It's not the CRM. It's your processes. And it is interesting with CRM is that CRM is a behavioral change tool. And it's managing that behavioral change. And those that understand that actually do great. So, right. I'm just going to stick on for a little bit more. If anyone's got any questions, I've written a book actually on the subject. So if anyone's ever interested, ping me a message, or you can have an hour's consultancy with me. Not to sell our product, but just to kind of guide you through, the 25 years of fund marketing and digital marketing and marketing automation I've been through. Lovely to connect if you've got some time. And I've got another question come through. What's your service proposal? Oh, well, that's interesting. So we don't really, it's one of those things we do get criticized about. We don't really talk about our product or do a heavy sell on it. So we are the marketing automation part of whichever CRM you're using. So so that's kind of where we live. So we live in an ecosphere with, like I said, Salesforce, Statuit, Investor Dynamo, all those CRM products. Where they stop with their collecting of data, we start and then push that to the sales team. Okay, a consultancy to digitize. So we're not consultancy. That's the last thing we are. But when you buy our product, all the consultancy I spoke about comes with it. So, so Mark, if you want to send us an order, happy to take it. Or you can just book a call with me. That's fine either. Happy to do that. Okay, so I'm just thinking, are there any more questions from anybody? No? Oh, we've got another question come through. Fantastic. Perfect. Okay. So obviously, how long do these implementations take? We've spent far too much time and money using Pardot. Okay, we did need to say that. There's nothing wrong about using standard products. Okay, Pardot, MailChimp, Marketo, great products. Where they stop is that they're not investor AUM raising specific. So what I showed you all in the lead deck. So the lead deck slide here. So even though this is running within Salesforce, this is where we've replaced Pardot. This is running. This is not what Pardot can do, and you could bend it to do it, but or any other product, Marketo, yada yada yada. They're not built to give you this level of reporting because the data is not structured in that way, and so many other reasons. So, and this comes out of the box in our product, and if you want specific ones, we can build them out for you as well. So actionable insights is really where a lot of these products kind of fail, but they fail because they haven't been built to do that. So it's a little unfair on them. Okay. Have we got any more questions? How long does an implementation? Like I mentioned, it's out of the box. So we're a product company. We're not a consulting company. We have no interest in selling you something very, very cheap and you then have it spend, $1 million trying, or, which is not unheard of, getting something built out that by the time you deployed it is already out of date. So, yeah. So, okay. I've got another question come through on what's the best automation. I would say the remail automation in anything you're doing is probably the easiest one to do. So yeah, I would consider that. And okay, so we are starting off, just one more question, I think. We're starting off raising money with a new fund. What is the best process to, okay, so is that marketing process or go to market? What is, okay, all of it, right? So that is basically this slide here. So this is the go-to-market stride. Well, this is effectively the one you need to take away with you. This is all about how do you create your brand narrative? So who is your ICP, your ideal investor? Creating your content, your brand. You know, the one after that is, you know, how do you build out demand generation and tracking engagements and building out analytics. Now we sit on 3, 4, and 5. But unless you've got your brand narrative in place and, you know, creating brand awareness in place, well, if that's not in place, then whatever marketing you do is fundamentally a waste of time. Okay, so there we go. Just hang on for another few questions. We've gone over a little bit, almost there. Let's have a look. Right. Well, super. Well, look, thank you everybody for joining this webinar. I see that, yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, hopefully. Have a great weekend. And as always, the replay will be sent out probably over the weekend. Okay. Thank you all very much for your time.